Lady Dragons. Today is Thursday. It is November 4th. It is the 60th day of school. I'm Mr. Butcher, and it's my job to keep you guys safe so you can show us how excellent you can be. Hopefully you've left your average at home or on the bus, and you are ready to have a respectful and responsible day. Responsible is just doing your job with a smile on your face and giving perfect effort. And our first responsibility that we have each day is to be ready to show respect for the rights that we have in this country and at our school. We do this by daily saying the Pledge of Allegiance, our school pledge, as well as doing our moment of silence. When we do our pledge, we want to stop what we're doing, stand up tall, put our hand over our hearts like this. We want to say the pledge loudly, clearly, and with pride. Leading us in the pledge today is Margarita from Miss Pate's first grade class.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the Kennedy School Pledge.
I pledge myself as a Canadian dragon to be ready for the day ahead of me. I'll be respectful of myself, my teachers, and others without debate. I promise to be responsible for myself, my actions, and my learning. I work my hardest to be the best dragon I can be.
Please take a moment to reflect silently on our day, our activities, and what we hope to accomplish. Another responsibility that we have each day is to try to help keep each other safe by slowing down the spread of germs. We can do this by making sure that we wash our hands frequently throughout the day. When we wash our hands, we do want to use soap and water. If we can't get soap and water, you can use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, but we really want to use soap and water. When we wash our hands, we want to make sure that we're getting all parts of our hands, the palms, the back of our hands, in between our fingers, fingertips, our wrists, and our thumbs. Because when we wash our hands, we also want to make sure that we're doing it for 20 seconds. So let's model what good hand washing looks like now. I already washed my hands, so we're just sanitizing. So here we go. Palms of your hands, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back of your hand, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back of the other hand, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get in between our fingers, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get our fingertips, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get our other set of fingertips, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get our thumb, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other thumb, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get our wrist, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our other wrist, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now our hands are nice and clean. All right, now that we've done our hand washing, our moment of silence, our pledges, let's go ahead and get started by showing respect for those that have birthdays today. Happy birthday to London Canthachak, who's 11, and Pearl Philizaire, who is 6 years old. We'll make sure you guys get your birthday around. Another responsibility that we have, responsible, is doing your job with a smile on your face and giving perfect effort. That responsibility is to make sure that we make our lunch choice in the morning. Today, our lunch choices are cowboy nachos, cheesy refried beans, lettuce and tomato, fresh fruit. If you don't want the cowboy nachos, which is just nachos with pulled pork on them, you can always get the PB&J or the yogurt or muffin. But make sure you do your job and make your lunch choice now. One of our goals this year is to increase our vocabulary, because when we have a good vocabulary, we're better readers, and also, too, we're better writers. We do this through our picture of the week. Here's our picture for this week. We asked you to do nouns and verbs. Nouns are persons, places, or things. Verbs are action words. Action words are words that tell us what's happening, the action in the story or the event that you're looking at. So our picture is on the board. So yesterday we did verbs. We had Miss Ballard and Mr. McCoy's class. Here are some of the sentences that we got. Here's Miss Ballard. The kids were climbing on the gate to the theme park. How could it be closed today? They looked as the owner of the park walked by. They begged her to open the gate. Mr. McCoy's, we are wondering why the kids are climbing a cage. The woman is covered in fake blood. So we think it's about zombies. Interesting. All right, today we're looking for adjectives and adverbs, those words that describe. They tell you how many, which one, what kind, where, when. Those are the things that we're looking for. Adjectives and adverbs, those juicy words. Adjectives describe the nouns. Adverbs describe the verbs and the adjectives as well. So let's get going with some adjectives and adverbs, those juicy, juicy words that make our vocabulary better and our writing better. All right, while we're not under a mask mandate anymore, we are required to wear masks on the bus. So, and there's some people that choose to continue to wear their masks, so we want to make sure that if we are wearing our mask or when we're wearing our mask, that we're putting them on the right way, because we want to make sure if we're going to do it, we want to make sure that they're all done correctly. So let's put our mask on over our nose and our mouth. Make sure it's tight around your ears. You guys have a great day. That is all we have for announcements, so please help me.
Me and your teachers keep you safe. That is our job.
And your job is to help us keep you safe.
And you can help us by being a ready, respectful, and responsible student who is focused on graduating in the year.
Because when you are a ready, respectful, and responsible student focused on graduation, you are fully committed to student success. I love you very much. Have a great day. Sticking with the Olivia books. This is Olivia and the Fancy Party. We're continuing with that. We do read alouds for several reasons. One, to increase our vocabulary. Want to know the words different words and how they're used. Books are a great way to learn those. Second one is we want to model what good readers do, which is to read fluently, reading the words at a good pace, correctly at a good pace, not too fast, not too slow. And also, too, giving you guys time to practice what good readers do as they're listening to stories, making those connections. With a fiction book like this, we want to think about the character, who or what the story's about, the setting, where and when the story's taking place, the sequence of events, what happens first, next, or last, because we don't want you just to read the words. We want you guys to understand it. So here we go. Olivia and the Fancy Party. The author today is not Ian Falconer. It is actually Cordelia Evans. The author is the person that wrote the words. The illustrator is Shane L. Johnson. So Shane L. Johnson drew the pictures. So here's these great pictures. We know Olivia is a pig. It says at the fancy party. We can see from the cover that she's all dressed up in a fancy dress, has high heels on and a purse. So let's find out what's happening. If you guys been to a fancy place, you kind of know. Let's see and find out what happens. Mother shuffled through a stack of mail as she and Olivia walked through the front door. She pulled out a bright pink envelope and handed it to Olivia. Looks like this is for you, Olivia. Olivia opened the envelope as quickly as she could without ripping it. It's an invitation to a party at Francine's house, she exclaimed. How nice of Francine to invite you to her party, said Olivia's mom. You'll have to remember to use your best manners. Look at that. She kind of looks excited. Best manners. Uh-oh. What is that? She's going to have to say please and thank you. You guys know how to do best manners. Olivia imagined. She imagines like he pretends. Imagined a party at Francine's house would be very fancy. Francine and all her guests would be dressed in their finest clothes. Suits and ties. And the waiters in tuxedos would walk around carrying fancy food on silver platters. And fancy food just looked like a banana to me. Cupcakes. But I've never been to a fancy party thought Olivia. She imagined herself spilling a glass of juice all over Francine's fancy party dress. Olivia shuddered. Shudders. As she tried to get the image, an image is like, what does it look like? Of a shocked Francine covered in grape juice out of her head. You're right, Mom, she said. I'm going to practice all week, and by the time the party comes around, I'll be the perfect guest. What do you think she's going to practice? Up in her room, Olivia got out the big book of manners her grandmother had given her. Let's see. The perfect party guest should greet her host politely, have good posture, practice proper table manners, and of course have appropriate attire. Know just what to wear. So posture is how you sit. So instead of slouching over, sit up straight. That's good posture. And appropriate means the right things. Olivia went to her closet and pulled out her new party dress. It was pink and had a big bow. She couldn't wait to wear it to Francine's party. All week, Olivia practiced being a good party guest. Whenever anyone came to the door, she worked on being polite and making conversation. Making conversation means that they were talking. Thank you ever so much for stopping by, she told Jillian. What? Jillian said, confused. You asked me to come over, remember? You look fabulous today. Blue is definitely your color, Olivia said to the mailman. Wow, thanks, responded the mailman. Could you please sign for this package? She's being nice to her friend and to the mailman. Next, Olivia looked up proper table etiquette in her big book of manners. She demonstrated for Will as she set the dinner table. You have to start from the outside and work your way towards your plate, Olivia explained. So you use the first outermost fork to eat your salad and the first spoon to eat your soup. And then you use the next round of utensils to eat your main course, William. Crude. Notice how I said Olivia locked. It doesn't make any sense. Locked up, proper, looked up makes sense. It's good readers fix their mistakes. And always remember to put your napkin in your lap before you start eating, Olivia said. She placed the napkin in William's lap, too. He looked at her and threw it on the floor. Olivia just sighed. Then Olivia decided to work on her posture. Her big book of manners said it was rude to slouch at the table. She closed the book, placed it carefully on her head, and began to walk slowly around the room, standing up very straight. What are you doing, Olivia? Called Ian as he walked past her in the room. My book says that this will help me sit up straight and be more balanced, she said. Do you want to try? Ian placed a book on his head and tried to follow her. Right away, the book fell off. It's okay. Try again, said Olivia encouragingly. Again, the book fell off as soon as Ian took a step. I guess I'm not very balanced, he said. Finally, the day of the party arrived. Olivia came down the stairs wearing her fancy pink dress. She's got some pearls around her neck, too, kind of like Josh Peterson. I'm ready, she declared. Is that what you're wearing to the party? Said Olivia's mom. Of course, said Olivia. A guest should always look her best. Okay, said Mother, but it's only noon. The party isn't for another 3 hours. Exactly 3 hours later, Olivia walked up to Francine's front door, prepared to greet her hostess politely. She was about to knock when she noticed a colorful sign on the door. Party guest, please come around back. Olivia thought. She walked around to the backyard carefully, holding up her skirt. The sound of people talking and laughing got louder as she approached. When she peeked around the corner, she was surprised to find that the party was... Make a prediction. What do you think it is? I'm thinking it's not a fancy party. A cookout! There were tables covered in red checkered tablecloths and all piled high with food. All around, adults and kids were chatting and snacking, and Francine's dad was over by the grill wearing a big white apron. I guess this party isn't as fancy as I thought, said Olivia. She looked for Francine and spotted her along with the rest of her friends. They were running around and throwing water balloons at each other. Uh-oh, that's a problem if you're in a fancy dress. Francine ran up to Olivia and was about to throw a big bursting balloon at her when she noticed her outfit. Wow, what a pretty dress, Olivia, exclaimed Francine. I guess you probably don't want to get it wet, do you? Olivia thought for a moment. Well, the most important part of being a good guest is participating in the activities your hostess has planned. She picked up a water balloon, tossed it in the air a few times. So I guess I'm getting wet if you can catch me. And she threw the water balloon at Francine and ran away laughing. Even though the party wasn't fancy, Olivia still managed to use her manners. After the water balloon fight, there was an egg race. Each person had to balance an egg on a spoon and walk from one end of the yard to the other. The first person to make it to the finish line was the winner. And the winner is Olivia, declared Francine's mom as Olivia crossed the finish line just ahead of everyone else. All of her work balancing the book in her head had paid off. Dinner was a buffet, which means you can get all you want. So there was no place settings, but Olivia gathered all the utensils from the baskets on the table and set them as she had practiced. Wow, that looks so fancy, Olivia, said Daisy. Can you show me how to do that? Soon, all of Olivia's friends had proper place settings and were picking up their outermost forks to eat their salads. When the party was over, Olivia's mom came to take her home. Thank you for having me, Olivia told Francine's mother. Oh, you're very welcome, said Francine's mother. Then, to Olivia's mom, she said, Olivia was the most well-mannered guest at the party, and the best dressed, too. Olivia beamed. What are you doing, sweetie? Asked Mother later that evening as she came into Olivia's room to say goodnight. I'm writing a thank you note to Francine and her family, Olivia replied. A good guest always sends a note of thank you. I'm so proud of you, said Mother. Good night, Olivia. Good night, Mom, said Olivia. And that is Olivia and the fancy party. It wasn't that fancy after all. But it's always good to have good manners. Good manners pays off.